Welcome back to TomPadulaTV and to segment 3 of this particular interview with Kelvin Thompson, now in opposition. And the question is, how are you going to approach this other period of opposition as Kelvin Thompson in the seat of Wills?
Sure. Look, first, Tom, can I say that I'm really appreciative of the voters in the electorate of Wills, the people of Wills, for the support that they've shown me in the recent federal election, as they have on previous occasions. It's a great responsibility, and I'm very proud to represent this electorate. I've announced that I don't intend to contest the shadow ministry. I was a shadow minister for 10 years during the Howard years, so it's a case of been there and done that. And one of the things that I found, both as a shadow minister and as a member of the executive, parliamentary secretary for trade and parliamentary secretary for schools, is that there are quite severe limitations on what you're allowed to say. You're expected not to speak outside your portfolio, and even when you do speak within your portfolio, the leader's office always likes to know what you're saying and when you're going to say it. So these things are pretty restrictive when it seems to me that the world has very serious challenges. You look at issues to do with food, to do with energy, to do with water, to do with climate change, war, terrorism, all sorts of issues where I think that there are areas where globally and nationally we could do a lot better, and I want to be able to speak out about those things and not feel constrained by front bench responsibilities.
In fact, I've noticed over the last few years that when ex-leaders of parties and people who have been in government actually come on and talk about issues in general, and they're no longer in politics, they're no longer involved with what they were doing for a job, it's actually very interesting because they sort of open up the discussion, they open up the real problems, they talk about things on a more human level, and their concerns becomes our concerns. So we actually listen to people who've been there and done that.
Yes.
But we are conscious of the fact that that is in the past. So the people in the job today, they have a different set of circumstances and they have to tackle with those.
Yes.
Therefore, it's very good, in fact, this democratic process, because it throws out people into back amongst the population who have led a bit of Mao Zedong's revisionism.
It is always interesting, as you say, Tom, to hear former leaders and senior political figures talking about policy issues, because obviously they have a lot of experience, they've learned a lot, and on the other hand, because they don't have to worry about this force or that force organising to kick them out, they often speak very candidly about things and say exactly what they think. So this can be a very useful and enlightening process. I think we do have to understand that people who are talking like that are able to do so knowing that they are not at risk of being voted out and so on, because they are no longer involved in the public office process, and
they are the grandparents of politics.
And those who are presently public office holders have to have regard to what people in the electorate think and what various interest groups in the electorate think, and they do worry about, if I say this or do this, what will the consequences be, who might organise against me, and so on, and that of course brings with it restrictions.
But that's so true of families, because when you have children of your own, it's one thing, when they are very small and you grow up with them, and then they become independent and they then start a new cycle with their own families, if they're families, and if they're on their own, it's almost the same thing, because they are reaching adulthood, they have to manage their own affairs, whether on your own or in a couple or in company with a large family, small families. It doesn't really matter. Your circumstances are very different from your parents. But the parents always back you up.
Well, it's true. It's true that the world changes, and therefore both responsibilities as a parent or responsibilities in government change with changing circumstances, and the world is moving faster in many respects than it's ever done before. So that of course throws up new challenges for people who are involved in public policy.
And the information that we get today, I mean, I've been fortunate to actually, engage with modern technology. I have my YouTube program. I've had Tom here. It's been fantastic for me to be able to learn more and more about the power of the internet. There are many people in the world who don't have access. So it's a big divide today between people who are really busy with their jobs and don't have time for social networking,
Yes.
as against people who are young and they social network all the time. And I have contacts with people from overseas. I speak to people overseas a lot more sometimes now through the net than I speak to my neighbour. It's a bit of a, it's a challenge.
It's interesting that you mention that, because I've just been thinking about that in the last few days in terms of our political system. You have the traditional and the conventional media, and much of that is dominated by large corporations such as News Limited, which have right-wing politics and pro-big business philosophy. But the alternative media, the social media, is frequently dominated by people of very different political perspective, and therefore you find that people who are only hearing the traditional conventional media, they have one set of views about the world, and people who are only engaged with social media have very different views about the world.
Not only that, but we express that because we're coming to the end of the segment, Calvin. It's a very good time to actually conclude because on the social media issues, because I can tell you that TomPadulaTV is the new type of engagement, social engagement
Sure.
that people are trying to get into, or some people are so much more advanced than I am in this respect, and some people are they have to catch up. So this type of independent, uninformed in many ways, because we don't get the information. We get the information through the media. We get the information from what we see around us. We don't have necessarily the reports that a government minister, people in government have. So a lot of the times you're expressing opinions about things that you don't really know about. And that's social media. But if you get 200 of these uninformed views, you actually get something out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And a sort of a guidance about what people actually want. And so once upon a time you needed to visit, and I think you still have to walk the streets of Wales, but I think social media is even so much more important today.
It is increasingly important, no doubt about it. It's important politically and it's important in the rest of our lives.
And on that note, we finished with this particular program. I'd like to invite you back even more regularly, Calvin. I'll be more organised to tackle different themes and issues that exist in our society. I'm enjoying this work immensely. I hope you have a very good time representing the people of Wales in opposition. But, you received, I think, in opposition some of the highest two-party preferred votes in Australia.
Yeah, one of the best results in the country. They're still counting, Tom, even a couple of weeks after the election. So we've just got to wait and see what the final preference distribution.
Your job was to lift that primary vote for next time.
That's the plan.
And that's the plan.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now enjoy the game today, and let's hope the Freo wins.
Gets over the line. We'll see.
Okay. Well, that's it for TomPadulaTV. Don't forget my TomPadulaTV.com for the channel, for the video channel on YouTube, and also our Sunday and Fridays programs on Channel 31, and TomPadula.com for articles and interviews. And on that note, ciao, see you next time.